Renato Moicano gets it done in dominant and brutal fashion at UFC Paris, and it's really sparked a big question in the MMA community the last 10 hours or so. That's effective grappling. That is grappling that does damage. That is brutal grappling. That's not holding your opponent. That's not hugging the leg. Renato Moicano went out there with a shoulder injury, by the way, with a broken shoulder. Ragdoll BSD. Held him down. The elbows were efficient. They were often. They weren't too overly aggressive to where he's then losing position and getting bucked off him. He did phenomenal. He did absolutely. I did not. I thought he would win. I must admit, I did think Renato would get it done, but I more thought that it would be a scrappy scrambles and a very close back and forth contest, and Moicano would win a decision. That's kind of what I had in the back of my mind. I believed that Renato could just pull some more tools out the bag and maybe work some low kicks, and BSD would kind of be slowed down as the fight went on, and Moicano would become more comfortable. But no, Moicano, I think, has just hit a point where he's like, look, I cannot afford to lose. I cannot afford to lose. I'm going to go in there and dominate this guy. He went in there, took him down, and that is what you call effective grappling. There's a thing right now in MMA where people are saying, oh, you know, if you find Merab's style boring, you're not a true fan. I'm a true fan. I watch every event start to finish. I have done for years and years. Back in the good old days. Since then, for about 10 years now. And to be honest, I think it makes me more of a fan, the fact that I hate the boring wrestlers, I hate the Merabs, because I love the UFC. I want the UFC to succeed. I want to be in the UFC myself one day. That's the dream. That's the big goal. And these guys, Bilal, Merab, controlling a fight but doing no damage and really making it hard to be a fan of MMA as a whole, is killing the sport. And you don't want that. I want someone like Renato who, yeah, he uses his grappling. I don't care if you grapple, but do something with it. Emphatically dominate someone instead of holding them and hugging them. And all the Merab fans, all the Georgians are saying, oh, domination this, domination that. That's not domination. It's actually embarrassing that that's how your guy needs to win a fight. And I just wanted to come on today and tell you, look, that is what you call a dominant display of grappling. And that is what you call effective grappling. That's what should be scored. Merab has never done to anyone's face what was done in 4.5 minutes to Benoit Saint-Denis' face in Paris last night. Hate me for saying it. Slag me off for saying it. It does not matter, because your boy can't do that, and our boy can do that. You know, Renato Moicano, he called out Paddy Pimblett, he called out Dan Hooker. Both those fights, if either one of them happens, I would love to see Renato versus Pimblett, but also I have a feeling that fight might not happen, because if the UFC is smart, and I know they are, they'll be thinking, look, Dan Hooker's an older guy now, so is Moicano, let's have them fight. Hooker's been there and done that. Moicano and Pimblett, neither of them have been in the top 5 of the division. If you get Moicano in the top 5, that's a very good fight for Pimblett, you know. And doing that fight next, when they both have all this momentum, they both kind of have a big star power, might not be the smartest move. However, I'd love to see the fight. Do it on the Ultimate Fighter next year. Maybe give them both one more fight before they fight, win or lose. Then you do them on the Ultimate Fighter the year after. When does it start filming? Like March, April next year, end of the year. I think that would be maybe a bit smarter. Give them both one more fight, then a title eliminator bout if they both win. I think that's the best way to do it. I say Moicano, Dan Hooker next. I'd love that fight. I do think Moicano would get it done. I think probably by decision. I mean, or submission, but I feel like Dan Hooker's a slippery guy now. You know, that's a great fight. That is such a good fight. And you could also do, I'm thinking, hear me out, Pimblett Dariush. Something like that, Pimblett versus Beneil Dariush. I think Pimblett would have that one in the bag, actually, quite convincingly. I'd say first round knockout for Pimblett, or sub, maybe second round knockout after being patient in the first. He's got this new kind of aura about him where he goes in, takes his time, tries to look emphatic early. I love both options. However, if you're going to go with Pimblett and Moicano next, I want to see that in December. Realistically, it won't happen in December, but if Moicano's injury is really holding him back and he can't come in December in about 3 months' time, 2 months' time, might be much too quick of a turnaround. I still want to see Paddy Pimblett fight in December. Give him Beneil Dariush in December, and then next year, April, May, Pimblett versus Money Moicano title eliminator bout. That would be great. That would be absolutely awesome. I cannot afford to lose. Motherfucker, let me tell you something. Joe Rogan. I love him. I think he's great. I love Renato Moicano. I was cheering for him. I predicted him to win. He just surprised me. He did it much better than I thought he would. I truly thought he was going to go out there and struggle at parts of the fight. But, arguably he could have lost the second round. But obviously striking with a broken shoulder is very, very difficult to do. And that would compromise anyone. But I've not seen a more dominant round than that. That 10-8 round. Took him down in the first 30 seconds with a really, really good entry. Got the double unders, spun him round and tripped him. And the elbows were slicing, and they were often, and they were heavy, but they weren't messy. He wasn't messy. And I think the main takeaway from this fight is the guy was not messy at all. He was precise. He was a killer. He was dominant. And he went out there and absolutely blew the roof off the place. And then got on there and started going on about the French monarchy and how Christianity's been suppressed and stuff, and he's just nuts. He's absolutely nuts. And I hope he got. I know in the UFC you have your contracted money, but then you get paid $25,000 extra to be a main event on a fight night, which is not much. However, I hope I'd imagine Moicano's on about. He's been in the UFC for 10 years almost. Moicano's probably on 300,000 to show, 300,000 to win. He probably gets about 600,000 a fight. That's what I'd guess. Obviously taxed. The Paris would have taxed him an absolute fortune. He probably got 400 grand, 500 grand. So I'm really happy for him. Moicano wants money, and I think I want to see Moicano in the top 5. I want to see him. I want to see maybe Poirier versus Moicano, but I know they're training partners. We need some fresh blood in the lightweight division. It's too much of the same guys fighting each other over and over again. It's a bit tedious now. It's like, yeah, okay, right, you're going to do the trilogy between Gaethje and Poirier. These guys are getting old. We're not building enough stars. We've got Pimblett and Moicano. Yeah, Moicano's older, but he's fresh. He hasn't fought any of the guys at the top yet. Obviously you got Rafael Fiziev. I've actually trained with him as well. He's a monster. However, he has fought Moicano, and the skill gap looked massive on the feet, but that was before Moicano was on this tear. That's before Moicano has built this momentum, and he's now a properly settled lightweight. And he's also got, he's playing to his strengths now. In his last fight against Gillian Turner, he was playing to his strengths, but he wasn't doing much damage on the ground, but he did find the positions. This time, he said in the post-fight interviews, he said, we do a full session of ground and pound and aggressive striking from the ground. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, guys. That is effective grappling. Merab is not an effective grappler. He's effective in the sense he'll hold you, but he doesn't do damage, and that's how you judge grappling. How much damage do they do? If you're going to ignore that, I don't know. You're casuals. You just want to pretend that I love watching this. No one loves watching it. It's massively boring. It's massively depressing to watch. Shout out Money Moik. Very good man. Very good. You surprised everyone. I think the aggression and the tenacity and how impressive those elbows were off the top when you had him in mount. Taking the back as well in the first minute. Probably the most dominant display I've seen in a very long time. I thank you guys all so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Give me your thoughts. I've got loads of videos coming this week. I've got a lot to film. And I can't wait to give it to you all. So perfect. See you guys all later. Peace out, guys. Well done again, Money Moicano.